On today's Locked On Phoenix Suns podcast, are the Suns about to take a tumble next season? And which rookie is most likely to produce this year? Let's talk about that and much more on this edition of Locked On Phoenix Suns.
You are Locked On Suns, your daily Phoenix Suns podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back into Locked On Phoenix Suns. My name is Benjamin Garcia, host of the Ben Garcia Show mornings on YouTube, and a credentialed Phoenix Suns media member covering your Phoenix Suns 365 days out of the year. Thanks for making Locked On Suns your first listen here on this Wednesday. Don't forget Locked On Suns is free and available on all platforms, including YouTube. So click that follow or subscribe button to do it. Thousands, dare I say millions, trillions, billions of Suns fans have already done. Become an everyday and get locked on to the Phoenix Suns here each and every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. Check out our friends over at Monarch Money. I got a jam-packed show for you guys today. A little bit of vacations being done over the past couple of days, missing a show here or there. I've got one more vacation coming up this weekend. That won't affect how the show will be dispersed. So for you guys, it's all, full steam ahead. And pretty soon here, we're going to be going back to 5 days a week. But for now, 3 days a week, give you that weekly, that 3 times a dose of the Phoenix Suns. And of course, I hope you guys are enjoying the new look version of Locked On Phoenix Suns. I've gotten some pretty good positive feedback on it. So let me know what else you guys would like to see on this show as it turns from a co-host type of show to just me along with friends. With that being said, there's a lot of things to get into. So let's start here. We have some stuff that we're going to talk about in terms of the Phoenix Suns season as a whole, but we'll get to that in just a second. What I think is more interesting is talking about the newcomers of this team. And we've kind of talked about it ad nauseum with guys like Dillon Brooks or I almost said Jabari Smith Jr., but obviously he was not in the trade. Dillon Brooks coming into the fold, Jalen Green coming into the fold. And then, of course, we have some rookies as well that are newcomers. We've talked about Green. We've talked about Brooks. We'll get into guys like Nigel Hayes-Davis at some point. But what's interesting is I did a full segment, I believe it was last week, on the importance of Kaman Malawach and how if he doesn't pan out, it could completely derail everything the Suns are building. And really quick recap on that, it was just the 10th overall pick in that Kevin Durant deal was so dire to get back because the Suns are not going to be picking 10th anytime soon in any other draft. So they had to nail that pick. So it doesn't matter if maybe right now he's not ready to be the top flight superstar that I do believe he can be in the NBA. Maybe not a superstar, but a star player in this league. And then it got me thinking, okay, well, if I'm so bullish on Kaman Malawach and his development and what he'll be, that got me thinking, who is the most likely rookie to contribute this season? And obviously the Suns, Kobe Bryant, Rasheer Fleming, Kaman Malawach. Those are the 3 guys that fit the mold of that criteria to be able to qualify for that. And I'll go with it here. I am a massive Kaman Malawach fan. I have talked about his skill set ad nauseum. Partially that he reminds me of Rudy Gobert, except with better lateral footwork, meaning if he gets switched on to point guards, especially, the premier ones in the league, maybe not Steph Curry, that might be going too far, but the James Hardens, the LaMelo Balls, the Tyrese Maxeys, they don't start licking their fingers because they're so excited to take the big man to the cup with 1 or 2 moves. I believe Malawach has the wingspan and the footwork to stay with those guys. And it's a non-starter defensively if point guards try to get those matchups. I like his ability around the rim. I like that he can catch lobs better than most players on this team, if not all. The pure athleticism is off the freaking charts. I wasn't really bullish on his stretch 5 ability, but I got to be honest. In the summer league, yes, the shot needs some work, clearly. He's not going to be a 35% three-point shooter right out of the gate, or even a 30% three-point shooter. It's going to take a little bit of time. But as I watched the summer league and the Suns really just letting him rip from deep, he feels like his ceiling is like a 33% three-point shooter one day, shooting 2 or 3 of them a night, not at a consistently high volume. And I say all these things because of what I'm going to follow this up with. I think Kamal Malawach is going to be awesome. Now, it's the NBA draft. It's largely a crapshoot. Sometimes things don't pan out. But when I'm talking about this season, I'm not looking at Kamal Malawach to be the de facto starter or de facto player that the Suns are looking for to take a step up this season. Kamal Malawach is 18 years old. The dude's been playing basketball for, if both of us were 19 years old, I still would have been playing basketball longer than he has. Granted, he has every skill set that I'll never have. That's why I'm talking in front of him, or talking in front of a camera with a mic, and he's actually playing the game. But it's his rawness. It's going to take time for him to develop the skill set to be a consistently elite level basketball player. I think his development could take 2 to 3 years, with each year gradual, or, like a crescendo, just shooting up, for him to be an elite level player one day. But it's going to take time for him. So I don't think it's obvious to just say Kamal Malawach is going to be the rookie that steps up this year. Now, one of my keys to the Phoenix Suns making the playoffs this year, that list that I came up with last week that you guys really enjoyed, was one of the rookies needs to step up. And I thought about that and I was like, well, let's answer my own question. Who would that be? I like Kobe Bryant as a shooter. I think it's early, right? Who knows? But I think at his peak, he's like the 7th best player on an NBA championship team. That's pretty good for a guy who's a senior and kind of already at his ceiling. Kamal Malawach, I talked about his rawness. It's just going to take time. But not just that, but you look at the center position, they're kind of good for now. Like, they're in a good spot with Malawach where they can develop him slowly, mentor him under guys like Nick Richardson and Mark Williams, who are both serviceable, either vets or starters in this league. They don't need him to be awesome right away. Do you know where they have a glaring hole? There's only one guy left. The power forward position is the biggest need for the Phoenix Suns. And Rasheer Fleming, the Suns traded up for him. He feels like the most logical rookie to pick out and say, that's the guy who could break out this season. As I read you, and part of that is he's not as raw as Kamal Malawach was. Rasheer Fleming, if I can do some quick math on the fly, he was born in 2004. We're in 2005. He's 21 years old. 21 years old, looks like to the day. Age at the draft, he was 20 years old. So he's 21 now. Some of the things that we really like about him is he's kind of already at his ceiling, but also, well, not at his ceiling, but he's closer to his ceiling than Kamal Malawach. And he's someone that can defend both ways of the court. He's 6'9.5", basically 6'10", with a 7.5-foot wingspan. That stuff translates to the NBA right away. Because when you add his ability to shoot the 3 ball, which was at a 39% clip on 4.5 of them a night, shoots the free throw ball effectively at 74%, 53% from the floor as a whole, that is a player that is more NBA ready now. I believe Rasheer Fleming could be one of the better 3-and-D players in the NBA. And what do the Suns need? Someone that can shoot the basketball effectively when he's asked to do so, and defend the opposing team's best player along with Ryan Dunn and along with Dillon Brooks. And they don't have a hole at the 5 spot like they did last year at this time. They've got a gaping hole at the 4 spot. Because as much as I love Ryan Dunn, and I do believe there's a chance at some point in the season where Dunn and Fleming are starting next to each other and Brooks is on the bench, or Jalen Green goes to the bench at some point and it's Booker, Brooks, Dunn, Fleming, Williams. You're not ready to hear that lineup, so we'll save that for another day, but that's been cooking up there too. I like Ryan Dunn, but he is 6'8". He's a little undersized for a 4. Rasheer Fleming, 6'9.5", nearly 6'10", with a 7.5-foot wingspan, shoots the ball really well from the field. That might be your 4 of the future. And I see him getting there. Like, Malawach is 18. This guy's got 3 years on him. That's a lot of growing up that happens in that time. So this season, if you're just picking a guy that you're like, okay, who out of the rookies could step up into the fold this season? Malawach, for a couple of reasons, I'll disqualify. I think he's going to be awesome, but it's going to take a little bit of time. He's got to get stronger. He's got to put on more weight. He's, got to be a little bit more decisive with the basketball in his hands in terms of passing. And there's just got to be more maturity, not in a personality aspect, but on the floor. And that's going to come with time. Whereas Rasheer, junior, 21 years old, big player, kind of already in his own, filling out his body, that makes more sense to me. And then Kobe Brea, I don't want to get too high on him. I think he can be a very serviceable player in this league for a long time. But to me, it's between the other two, not Kobe Brea. I think he's got a much lower ceiling than the other two. So this season, look for Fleming to make that immediate impact and Malawach's to be more in the future. Both are good, but in the short-term future, I feel like it leans more Fleming for now. All right, let's also talk about an ESPN article came out that actually had Matt Ishbia. Right before I hit record, I was going to talk about this, but right before I hit the record, Matt Ishbia had something to say on it. And I liked the fiery attitude. So let's get to that and much more next. But first, today's episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Most people can't name all of their financial accounts or even what they're worth, whether it's 401ks, properties, or investments. And when you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. That's why there is Monarch Money. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or on your phone. Monarch is built for people with busy lives. If you're off organizing your finances, Monarch is for you. Or if you're put off by organizing your finances, Monarch is for you. Monarch does the heavy lifting for you. You can link all of your accounts in minutes, see clear data visuals, get smart categorizations of your spending, and finally feel in control of your money without even touching a spreadsheet. Listen, if you're like me and you're paying for multiple different accounts, Netflix, Hulu, Paramount Plus, whatever it is, HBO, Apple TV, sometimes you're like, I'm not using all these things. Shouldn't I be saving this money? You look at Monarch Money, you can look at that all one place interface and be able to cut out some things you're not using anymore. Maybe you're paying for 2 Spotify accounts. You don't even know. So don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com for half off your first year in your browser. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code LOCKEDONNBA. Okay, so this was interesting. I was going to talk about this, but what really made me want to talk about it was Matt Ishbia also chiming in. So the NBA summer forecast, basically, which is a way of saying, it's the dead part of the season. We're looking for stories. Not here on Locked On Phoenix Suns. We've always got things to talk about, so tune in every day. But on here, it's like, okay, let's take a poll. And so ESPN did a poll with all the experts and reporters and all that stuff, and talked about who's going to have a turnaround, who are going to be turbulent teams, and the biggest questions around the NBA. And they talked about which teams will make a major leap. They talked about which teams will make a tumble this season, and what's the next superstar to request a trade, which ironically Zion Williamson had the most votes, and I don't know if I'd classify him as a superstar, but that's neither here nor there. Which team will take a tumble this season? With 41 points in the number 1 spot, the Milwaukee Bucks. Kind of makes a little bit of sense. The Giannis Antetokounmpo thing could blow up. Miles Turner and combine that with the Damian Lillard stretching and waving and bringing in Miles Turner. It was all just kind of weird. The Los Angeles Lakers at 32. That's interesting because they didn't really lose anything. Maybe Dorian Finney-Smith, but outside of that, kind of feels like they added players, didn't lose players. So that one's interesting. And then tied for third, the Boston Celtics, which makes a lot of sense, a lot of injuries there, and the Phoenix Suns ahead of the Philadelphia 76ers, who it feels like they've been taking a tumble for like 10 years now, and the Indiana Pacers, who obviously lost their top two players in Miles Turner and Tyrese Halliburton. This is funny. And I think Matt Ishbia said it best just a second ago. And I want to pull up exactly what he said, but for some reason my internet's having a brief issue at this moment, but here we go. So ESPN insiders rank the Phoenix Suns one of the teams most likely to tumble in the upcoming 2025-2026 NBA season. Matt Ishbia said on Twitter, and quote, "I'm not worried about what the so-called experts thinks. They had us as a title contender the past 2 years, and we're wrong then. We're focused on making our fans proud and playing great as a team and building a brand of basketball that's tough and gritty." Matt Ishbia finally said the two words that we were begging for him to say so that we knew exactly where they wanted to go. Tough and gritty. But Matt Ishbia, for all the wrongs that he has done over the past couple years, is emphatically right. The writers don't know anything. They know just as much as you and I. I wouldn't say last season they put the Suns as NBA title contenders because we didn't really know. But the season before that, are you kidding me? It would have made more sense for the Suns to be number one on this list last year. But we're going to talk about the stock of the Phoenix Suns. Is it up or is it down? All in, neither here nor there. However, this is kind of outlandish. The Suns are going to take a tumble in 2025. I mean, listen. As much as I have been someone, and I said this on the last show, and a couple of people got a kick out of it. I don't want to be the bad guy, but I also kind of pride myself on being the bad guy because I feel like I'm the one who is willing to say the tough things, even on a show like this where we try to be positive, but I'm not interested in that sometimes. I want to be honest with you. I want to treat you like adults. I don't want to lie to you. And I haven't lied to you. If I'm wrong, I'll wear it, and I'll be gratefully wrong. Because if the Suns play well, guess what? That's great for me. I make more money, more people watch the show, and you and me get to interact even more. But I don't think the Suns are a playoff team this year. I think there's a chance that they're a play-in team, and then Devin Booker could go supernova for a couple of games, and they sneak in. But take a tumble? Well, no. There's a clear difference. I don't think the Suns are lost. The Suns had a phenomenal offseason. If I was to give you the Phoenix Suns roster, which you already had before the NBA draft, and you ended up getting this roster after the Kevin Durant trade, after the NBA draft, after free agency, you would sign up for that 100 times out of 100. So it just feels weird and easy now to say the Suns are going to take a tumble. What do you mean? There's an argument to be made they're better than they were last year. Yeah, I know they're not as top-heavy. Devin Booker is still there. Bradley Beal was never a top-heavy player. He just made a lot of money. And then Kevin Durant, yes, it sucks to lose him. He is an elite-level top 10 basketball player of all time. But so bleeping what? The Suns got younger, they got more depth, and they got better defensively. This is a lazy article. The Suns are going to take a tumble this year. Okay. I would have understood that last year, but when I see ESPN rank the Suns as one of the teams that are going to fall flat on their face this year, I'm just not buying it. As I mentioned before, more depth, or this team has more depth. They're better defensively. And they're a more gritty and physical team than they were before. And they're younger. All things that what this team was missing last year. So yeah, are the Suns probably not going to make the playoffs? I would probably say that that's probably not going to happen. Could they be a play-in team? Maybe. But It's ridiculous to say that this team now is going to fall flat on their face. Maybe last year, man, but this team is going to be more fun. It's going to be way more joyous to watch. And I might have questions about Green and Booker's forming together or coexisting together. I think there's a clear worry there. But come on, Malawatch is here. I just sung the praises of Rasheer Fleming 2 seconds ago. I like Kobe Brea. Dylan Brooks. I think Ryan Dunn takes a second-year leap this year. Oso Ighodaro is your backup 4. I'm not saying it's great times in Phoenix, but it's not somber times. So that takes me to my last point. Where is the stock pointing for the Phoenix Suns for the future? Is it up? Is it down? Is it indifferent? Are they exactly the same as they were last year? Well, let's talk about that and a little bit more next. But first, my guys at the Locked On Podcast Network, we've got a message for you. We have an important request. Locked On wants to hear from you. We put together a survey to learn more about our listeners and make your favorite podcasts even better. This is your chance to tell us what you like, what you don't, and answer questions about our advertising. Go to lockedonpodcast.com/survey to get started. Everyone who completes a survey will be entered for a chance to win one of the 10 $100 Amazon gift cards. Again, that's lockedonpodcast.com/survey. You can also find the link in the show notes. Thanks for helping making this show and everything else of the Locked On Podcast Network that much more enjoyable for you, the listener. Okay, no, seriously. Take these surveys, help us out at the Locked On Podcast Network, and as well as you got a question, concern, or something you like about the show, DM me, comment it, let me know. We're in a new phase, a new chapter of Locked On Phoenix Suns, and I think it's gone absolutely amazing, and that's because of you guys, the listeners. But please, take those surveys, let me know what you think, tell me what you think could be better, and I would love to try to make this show, because it's not just my show, it's our show, more enjoyable for you, the listener, the supporter of the Locked On Podcast Network. Moving on. Where is the Suns stock? Because again, it seems like I have been more negative on this, but that's just not the case. I totally get the fanboy mentality, which I don't mean that in a derogatory term. I'm not going after you. People are fans. I'm a fan. I just think because I've been in this business for about a decade, I've seen things a little bit more differently. And I tend to change my expectations as my fandom kind of comes down a little and my media hat comes on a little bit more. And that's just this. The Suns might not be a playoff team next year, but the stock for this team is way higher than it was the year before. Forget about what I talked about a second ago. Forget about the depth. Forget about the defense. Guys, this time last year, we're not talking about a team with real hope from young players. Like, even if the Suns don't make the playoffs this year, which I don't think is important, what's important is building a foundation. What is important is building this house, taking it down to the studs, and doing things correctly this time. Not going to the playoffs to soothe your ego, to make you feel good about it, to make me feel good about it, because I don't really care. Like, I want to make the playoffs, but am I that desperate to, be stabbed in the heart and lose in 4 games? I'm not. What I'm interested in is winning freaking championships. I'm tired of being a loser. And that's what it's been for me in my Arizona sports fandom. Look at all this back here. I've been mostly a loser. So yeah, getting to the playoffs would be fun, but it's not what determines a stock up, stock down arrow. The Suns need to be focused on building a foundation, building a culture. And that's what they've done all off season long. That's why when I come on here and get frustrated because I have to be the one that says, I don't know if they're going to be 13 games better next year and make the playoffs, but I still think they're going to be fun, frisky, and talented. And just because I don't say that they're immediately going to get into the playoffs and get swept by Oklahoma City or Denver in the first round doesn't mean jack bleep. It doesn't. What it means is this: the Suns' arrow is through the roof, especially when you compare it year by year. Like if I was running a business, oh, here's where our statistics were last week. Or last year, this is where they're at this year. It'd be in the toilet at this point last year and out shooting through the roof this year because they actually have young talent. I can buy into Ryan Dunn being a potential star. I can buy into Oso Ighodaro turning into something better next year. I can. You know what I couldn't do? That last year. And now I got more guys. Listen, I was a little, tempered the expectations a little bit on Kobe Brea, but he's a second round effing player. He is someone that you already hit on because he's a second round guy and he looked really good in Summer League. If he just is 75% of that, the Suns already hit on a second round pick. And then it's back-to-back years on hitting on second-round picks. And then you feel better about the Suns' management. Oh, dang, this scouting team actually knows what they're doing. Come on, Malawatch. I think he's going to be awesome. Didn't have him last year. Mark Williams, check his age. He ain't old. Young 20s. So it's not about, well, if they don't make the playoffs, then they're just a bunch of losers. No. It's not the point. As at the end of the day, there's no banner for making the playoffs. There's banners for championships. And what I'm interested in is getting to that point again. And the only way you do that is by building a firm foundation, building a culture, and being patient. And what the Suns haven't done over the past couple years is be patient. And what they have done this year is be patient. Yeah, I know they've kicked the tires on Jonathan Kuminga, but I know guys in this business. I've talked to dudes. We had Brett Siegel on the show. It was never really likely it was ever going to happen. The Suns tried to get him on the cheap, and it's probably not going to happen. There's nothing wrong with that for trying to get a bargain. You do it all the time. Now, if you're buying heavy on him and you're spending the last of your assets, yeah, I'll be the first one to rip this team a new one. But, guys, ultimately, at the end of the day, they've been patient, they've got younger talent, and they're going to be more fun to watch next year. Forget about what the dummies over in ESPN land think. We watch the teams. You, the viewer. I'm talking to you. I trust your opinion more than on what friggin' Stephen A. Smith is voting on. Dude's not watching games. I saw the pictures of the NBA Finals. He'd rather play solitaire and have bad takes. So forget what they say. We know. And just because they potentially don't make the playoffs this year doesn't mean they suck. It means they're building up for something more than getting swept in the first round. So I'm not interested in overpaying for Jonathan Kuminga just to make that extra push. That's what the Sacramento Kings do. You know what the Thunder and the Spurs of years ago and the Heat for a long time do? Patience, patience, patience. Find the right time to strike, and then they do so. They don't just do it willy-nilly. And it's just the thing I've kept on preaching all year long. Because it just gets so asinine. It's not so black and white. The arrow isn't pointing down just because I say I don't think this team's a playoff team this year. And what I'm really saying is, are they going to be 13 games better next year? I would probably say not. Now, if they can make the playoffs because Jalen Green and Booker coexist, and Dunn makes that second-year leap, and Odd is coaching his ass off, and those are all the things that were on my list last week, then you best believe they're ahead of schedule. But for right now, pump the brakes a little bit. Just because this team might not be a for sure playoff team next year doesn't mean what they're not building is freaking awesome. And it truly is not that black and white. All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Locked On Suns show, or the Locked On Suns podcast. What am I talking about? Locked On Suns show. Appreciate you guys in the chat tuning in every single day, the awesome everydayers. So do me a favor, hit that like, hit that share, hit that subscribe button. Follow me on all social media platforms at Ben Garcia Show. DM me. Tell me what you love about the show. Tell me what your hottest Suns take is. I want to talk to you guys. You guys are what makes this show possible. So don't forget to like, share, subscribe, follow me on all social media platforms. For myself, Benjamin Garcia, all of you watching in the chat, I will see you guys on Thursday night, Friday morning.